Okay, hey guys. I wanted to tackle something and settle it. It's been bugging me forever. I'm shocked that like I grabbed this because I know that at the end of the day, that if the claim that it's not real is true, then hieroglyphs should have a language that basically supports it, as well as just having a closer look at things. So I grabbed a video from an Egyptology, a mainstream Egyptology guy. Yes. However, this mainstream Egyptology guy is not working off of speculation. This is a 9-minute video, but we're going to only capture a smaller part of it for me to show you. So I am tackling the Temple of Seti I in Abydos, which is famous for having the relief that shows helicopters and spaceships and submarines and such, right? As the impression that these figures give. And I'm here to show you that these are defacements that were basically used as a correction. Somebody was chiseling out what was written underneath and replacing it, and it gets explained in this particular video. And as somebody who is deeply invested in things that are beyond belief, it also means I am not interested in being wrong. Right? And too many people, they want to be wrong. They want to see what they want to see. Just like you might see the mess behind me because I forgot to turn off the lights in the back to make things not appear as, yes, I am a mess. But anyway, let's show you from here. This is from the Fringe Pop 321 channel, which was shared on a Egypt archaeology website as the explanation. And I've always seen the picture going around that just shows you the superimposition of hieroglyphs, but nobody's ever done the translation. I said, okay, that makes sense, but it needs a translation. Otherwise, you're just kind of like getting thrown in the dark, and the translation then adds the context and everything else. So this guy answers that, and if somebody wants to refute this, right? Like, and this goes the same for how we want to see things. The ancient tomb relief in Mesoamerica with the king is I forget the exact name of it, but everybody knows the whole thing where he's laying on the thing and oh my god, it looks like a spaceship. That's an aesthetic style for a tree. You're looking at a tree, not a spaceship. It's a tree. He's smelling a flower. It's not an oxygen mask. It's not covering his nose. You're not going to make it in space with your oxygen mask sitting in front of your nose like this. It would have to go over it. You wouldn't just bother depicting it just going and touching his nose, right? Like, there's little things that don't make sense, and we want to believe what we want to believe because it was aesthetic. It's an aesthetically detailed high art form. And it probably was painted. We don't think about this, right? A lot of people have been showing you like, oh, here's what ancient Greek and Roman art and architecture looked like when it was painted in the vibrant colors available at the time that they colored their world. We just think of ancient Egypt in just stone color, right? For various reasons, probably because they didn't want to speculate. Anyway, let's have at it with this piece.
First, these hieroglyphs occur nowhere else in all of Egypt. They are unique. We'll find out why when we learn how they were made. Second, because they're unique, they have no meaning in the Egyptian language. Third, this is a temple, not a tomb. It's a temple constructed by two pharaohs, a father, Seti I, and his son, Ramses II, also known as Ramses the Great. If you've ever seen the movie The Ten Commandments, these are the two pharaohs in the movie that have something to do with Moses in the view of the people who made that movie.
And may I remind you that Seti is it means of Set. You know, the god Set. And I don't come from the camp that just because we called it a god, at least nowadays, that always meant an equivalency kind of thing. This gets into a whole bit, anti-gods, so on and so forth, right? You know, this is all 19th dynasty bullshit. And things decline in the 19th dynasty. 18th dynasty, Thutmose, that was, there's a whole lot to be said about that I'm not prepared for. This is being very focused, but I also find it funny that this particular theory, which is a favorite amongst a lot of ufologists, esoteric Egyptologists, science fiction fanatic people, you know, of the evidence. Here.
Fourth, we know all of the above because of records produced by both pharaohs. We're not guessing. Now, these last 2 points are crucial. Seti I died before finishing his temple. His son Ramses II, Ramses the Great, had it hastily completed and decorated several sections of the temple in his own honor.
Oh, and by the way, Seti of Set. Set is the god of foreigners. And then we also have named the institution for the search for extraterrestrial intelligence after him.
In the process of completing the temple, Ramses II had scribes carve inscriptions over existing inscriptions that Seti had previously ordered for the temple. The result of that is that the temple of Seti I has several instances where some hieroglyphs have been superimposed over earlier hieroglyphs. That process is how these odd hieroglyphics were created. This superimposition of one set of hieroglyphs over the top of another is called a palimpsest. The same thing happens in manuscripts of, say, the Greek New Testament, where ink will bleed through a papyrus and then get superimposed on the text on the other side. It's an accident. Now, it's one thing to propose all that as a solution.
Now, I would say this. His description is, you know, he's trying to give us something that makes sense in writing. But personally, my explanation is just because, you know, you're writing over it. You know, it's as simple as me going there. You know, there's Steve. There's Steve, my name, right? Hold on. Can you see that? You know? All right, so there's Steve, and then, you know, if I go there, now I've done my best job to change that to Larry. So Steve and then Larry on top of it, but now it's all screwed up. You know, it kind of looks like it says Gary, right? You know, like it's all that's what you're looking at. You're looking at messy overwriting. It's because you don't have erasers for stone.
Real test of its explanatory power is, does it work? Can we retrovert the two sets of inscriptions, the two sets of hieroglyphs, and do they make sense on their own? And the answer to that is yes. Egyptologists have complete assurance of the palimpsest explanation because the two sets of superimposed inscriptions are well known, and they occur many times in Egyptian texts. That's because Seti I and Ramses II were very famous pharaohs who did lots of building. There are lots of these inscriptions. The Medu Neter website has produced a glyph-by-glyph explanation of this, but what I'm going to tell you here for the purpose of time and detail is just a summary. 5 names, so there is a 5-fold titulary. These glyphs are part of Seti I's titulary. Take a good look at them. The translation, again, this is part of Seti's name, one of his names, reading left to right, is the 9 bows, and you can see there are 9 vertical strokes underneath a bow in the left-hand side. The 9 bows, and then the other side reads, "He who drives out." Now look at the hieroglyphs ordered by Ramses as part of his replacement titulary in the Temple of Seti I. They are related to his name and what he's famous for as well. Take a good close look at them. The translation of these particular hieroglyphs, again reading left to right, is "to conquer" or "subdue," and then "he who protects Egypt." If you can read a little bit of hieroglyphs, it's "he who protects Kemet," which is the word for ancient Egypt. Now guess what happens when you superimpose the two sets? Does this look familiar? You bet it does. It should. These are both sets of those glyphs we just talked about, those hieroglyphs, put over top of each other. And lo and behold, it's exactly what we have in the lintel above the door that's supposed to be a helicopter. The fact that the superimposition...
And you can see my thing, you see where I'm looking here? That's the bird on Ramses right here. That's the bird, right? It's all ridiculously simple.
Of both of these sets of well-known hieroglyphs, well-known parts of each pharaoh's name. The fact that they produce...
Because people's theories, they're not looking at everything else surrounding it. They're drawing no context. And then they're fucking arguing with you because they're trapped in a hallucination and they're building a grift on it. You know? And they need to hold that belief and lie to themselves. So that way they don't feel like a bad person for lying to you, looking like a fool, and then having nothing to base that, half of some of their arguments on, right? Because it's the height of the absurdity of it. You know, everybody's like, none of these things, with the exception of what kind of looks like a UFO, gets us to showing us something that gives us advanced technology that makes sense for answering the questions of the archaeological magnificence of the things that we can't build and reproduce today. Right, the pyramids and, all the ways that they did it, the ultra laser line cuttings and yada, yada, yada on that kind of stone, all of that stuff, right? It's just not real. It's just that, we didn't have this, I believe by the 19th dynasty, we are desert Egypt. Do you know why Black Hawk helicopters keep crashing in the Middle East when we were at war there or in occupation there? Because of the sand. You don't fly helicopters over the sand because it needs down air pressure to keep lift. The sand displaces and immediately raises the elevation of the helicopter beyond what the instruments think it is, and then it fucking hits a fucking dip pocket and it cracks. It's very simple. There's a certain altitude. You cannot fly over a desert with a helicopter. It would be useless. You'd have no way of making an approach to a desert city or area. We can't do it today.
The unique
And look at its engineering. Like, we didn't have oil. Why would we have engineered something that looks like it's a diesel engine helicopter when we had no concept of oil for power like that? Or access to it. There's no drillings, or, we wouldn't have enough. You know how much that would take, especially if there were many, and where are the artifacts of said helicopter, spaceships, submarines, etc.?
set of glyphs is proof positive that they are the result of recarving. They are accidental. This is why they're unique, and it's why they have no particular meaning in and of themselves.
All right, so that's good enough. He makes his whole point right there, and that's really it. I didn't really want to go too far with anything else with this. I wanted to make that, and express to you, right? Especially because next week we're going to be having some very interesting stuff going on. If you notice, I have to set up the rest of it, but I just wanted to make sure for my own, so I don't forget, put it on my schedule there. So I'm going to have Issa and Sean back to talk about their archaeological dig in Mexico, where they're in the jungle and they have found a number of artifacts like pots and like stone reliefs and little pyramid things, and there's Egyptian on it. There is, almost all of these have gray alien appearance on the relief for the figures, including one that is pharaonic looking. And I've got a tremendous amount of questions, right? Because I would love to know that Sean and Issa have found authentic stuff that wasn't just created by somebody and buried there, in the modern era to fuel a whatever. So I care deeply about this stuff, and knowing that artifacts like that are found, they have to be shown to archaeologists, anthropologists. You have to take a good look at the dig site and see what is going on over there. Was it near temples or homes or whatever, and everything else, right? Context. So anyway, that's a big thing that I just wanted to bring up, right? Because this is all, I just find it ironic that it's all 19th dynasty stuff, which means something more particularly to me that I can't fully express because I have to get into my deeper Egyptology on the matter. But that's also why I picked the picture. Like, oh, here's Pharaoh Seti with Thoth, which that, if you know about Thoth and you know where I'm coming from, Thoth is not your friend. Not your friend, but he is Set's friend. Thoth and Set are butt buddies, and that makes perfect sense now, doesn't it? Okay, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys soon. Maybe I'll do like Box Saga or something tomorrow, or maybe I'll change my mind and do it later tonight. I don't know. I'm really on a wing, and I got to make sure I get a whole bunch of things done. All right, peace.